Welcome to Healthy Living in 2021. I can't believe we're in 2021. Healthy Living. We've got three great panel speakers today who are going to talk about that. And my name is Janice Jakes. I am the owner of the FitnessFest Conference and Expo. This Friday, Zoom forum is free and it is called the Fit Pro Connection. We created it, FitnessFest created this when COVID started to have fitness professionals connect because obviously we wanted that connection. We missed our people, and this particular topic, and we've been going strong ever since. So we did stop a little bit before Thanksgiving. And so this is our first startup. And we thought first startup since November. And we thought it would be a great topic, not just for our fitness professionals, but for families all around the country, all around the globe, because it's so important to keep up our health now more than ever. And so without further ado, I'm going to introduce my three speakers. And we've got with us Dr. Joni Boyd. She's an associate professor of exercise science and coaching at Winthrop University. She holds a PhD in exercise science, MS in nutrition. And this is the first time I've met Joni, and this will be the first time that she is an NASM and AFA sponsored presenter for Fitness Fest. So she will be with us at Virtual Fitness Fest this April, and she's got two great topics. So welcome, Joni, and thank you for taking the time. She's in South Carolina right now, so she's on East Coast time. So thank you, Joni. And we have got Samantha Clayton in the house. Samantha Clayton is the VP of Worldwide Sports Performance and Fitness for Herbalife. She was the Sydney Olympics game in 2020, not 2020. I've got that year wrong because that was last year. What year, Sam?
2000.
2000.
1 year ago now, long time.
Yeah. Representing Great Britain in the 200-meter sprint and 100-meter relay. She was our Fitness Fest keynote in 2019, and she's been a speaker for Fitness Fest for the last couple of years, and even at the Fit Expo. So Samantha Clayton, welcome. We're going to call Samantha Sam because that's what we like to call her. So I'll refer to you as Sam. Thank you, Samantha, for hopping on. And you're coming in from California with us. Is that right?
That's right. Sunny Cali.
Malibu area?
Out in Thousand Oaks area right now. Yes.
Okay, cool. Well, thank you. Thanks for taking the time. And we have got Dr. Michelle May in the house. Michelle, thanks for tuning in. You're in the Phoenix area like me. You are a recovered yo-yo dieter and founder of Am I Hungry? Mindful Eating Programs and Trainings. Award-winning author of Eat What You Love, Love What You Eat series. And I just happened to have her book because she was a speaker for Fitness Fest when we were in Scottsdale, probably a good 5, 6, 7 years ago. I said, I know I have that book. So I love to collect signed books, and I've got one here. She said, Janice, you are the nicest person I've ever known in my life, is what it says. Just kidding. It doesn't really say that. So award-winning author of Eat What You Love, Love What You Eat series, and a faculty associate at ASU teaching mindful eating. And isn't that cool that Arizona State University has a course called Mindful Eating? So we're pretty cool out here. So thanks for taking the time. Welcome, Michelle.
My pleasure. Thanks. And you are pretty nice. I'll write that in your next book.
Yeah, next book, we'll have to do an update on that. All right. So without further ado, we are going to get started with our questions, and we're going to take turns with everybody as far as our three panelists. Feel free, please, to use the chat. I meant to tell you at the beginning to give me your name and where you're from. And then if you've got a question, Joanna, who works with me, is on, and her and I will be managing the chat. So feel free to use that, okay? And tell us where you're from and your name if you get a chance. And our first question, we're going to start with Joni. Let's record Joanna. All right, resume. Our first question, starting with Joni, is what foods would you recommend for overall health and immune system support? Joni, you want to start?
Thanks so much. I'm so excited to be here. And Joanna, by the way, that Coach Tim Boyd, that's my husband who's just tuning in to provide some support. So, but great question. And I think that there are so many answers to that question. I'm just going to talk just briefly about my experiences in some of the areas that I've looked at in the research and just what fits within my particular, eating habits and as well as my family. But first and foremost, you can't ignore just the research that supports healthy eating that includes, natural foods, as much fruits and vegetables. I tend to myself personally lean towards the veggies. I really think that there's a lot of support for healthy eating and immune system function within the vegetables and definitely fruits as well. But what that can provide the body is so many important nutrients to help fight different types of conditions, as well as short-term and long-term conditions that we see within our communities, that we see within our health. So fruits and vegetables would be my first, because I think that's a well understood, part of the food chain. I mean, most people can relate to fruits and vegetables pretty easy. Secondly, I think really understanding the value of gut health is really important as we relate immune function with our diet. And gut health is really critical. It really is dependent upon the amount of probiotics and some people refer to prebiotics that we can consume. And so I think having a diet that's rich in fruits and vegetables, as well as other healthy sources, healthy grains, is important. But incorporating the probiotics within a diet is critical. And that's a big topic. And it's easy just to throw out one term, that probiotics, but there's a lot of research in that area. Most generally, the research surrounds, lactobacillus and the dairy forms of probiotics. So that's where I would start. And I know my colleagues have something to add to that question. But I think that's the best starting place for me: fruits and vegetables and a healthy, source of probiotics for the diet.
Awesome. Good answer. Good answers, Joni. Sam, you're next. And I see a question about a chemical removal. So we'll get to that after all three give their little spiel. Sam?
Awesome. Well, firstly, I'd love to say I feel honored to be a panelist amongst two doctors. Inspiring. I want to make it there one day. So I'm really honored just to be alongside you guys. And, going after Joni's answer, I think her answer is just truly spot on in that having a well-balanced diet is really the key. I think when it comes to the whole probiotic conversation, I've loved looking at research. They say, your gut health and your microbiome really determines, your overall health. And I think that's where that really comes in, making sure that you are consuming a balanced and healthy diet. I think one of the things I'd love to touch on, she already covered the fruits and vegetables, what color is your plate? Having a beautiful, colorful plate is just so important. So there's a lot of research that goes into that, making sure that your plate is really representative of all the different colors, because when you think about all the antioxidants that are a part of fruits and vegetables, and we know that antioxidants are important for cell regeneration, for helping to grow your cells, you just can't stress enough the types of foods that you need to eat and the different colors. And because our topic today is on immunity, I often think about foods, because I'm a former athlete, I think about them in a real functional sense. So I think about, what does my body need in this moment right now? So I'll just use the term that most people will understand, is like when you think about during pregnancy, we think about, what does our body need extra during pregnancy? Well, we know that folate during pregnancy is really important for cell growth and for regenerating cells. And so I think about now we're going through a global pandemic, and we think, well, our body needs all of those things that will help to boost immunity. And so when I think about the foods that do that, it is fruits and vegetables. I think about zinc and how zinc is important for regenerating cells. And then what foods do you get zinc from? And so I think that we all have to be our own kind of investigator about what's going on in our life a specific moment in time. If you're feeling unwell, or, you know, think about the menstrual cycle, we know during that time we might need to up our iron. And so kind of connecting the dots of what foods contain which vitamins. So, you know, when you think about vitamin C, you're thinking of your citrus fruits. When you're thinking about zinc, maybe oysters or red meats come to mind, or, you know, so I think, you know, this is a conversation we could probably have for a couple of hours amongst ourselves. But I think the most important thing is, you know, having a lot of plants throughout your diet, real plant-based, you know, adding in meats if that's your thing, but just not excluding whole food groups. I'm not a big fan of like being really exclusionary. I think we need balance. And so I really subscribe to a whole message of a balanced plate, a balanced diet, and that fits the moment in time in your life. If you're pregnant, you're focused on getting extra folate. If you're not feeling well, you're thinking about the things that regenerate your cells. So that's kind of my take on it. That's my 5 cents.
All right. That's a lot more than 5 cents. Awesome, Sam. Thank you so much. Michelle, same question.
And so I get to be on with a PhD and an Olympian. So, wow, this is awesome. So my take on this is a little different, only because I spent many years yo-yo dieting and the last 20 years helping other people heal their relationship with food. So that's not to say that what we eat isn't important. I completely agree with what Sam and Joni said. My focus tends to be on first focusing on why you're eating in the first place. Sometimes people forget that very important step, and they will spend a lot of time thinking about what they're eating, and they're not even hungry. Their body doesn't need fuel or energy or even potentially extra nutrition at that moment. Maybe they're choosing food because they're bored or stressed, or certainly during the pandemic, we've all faced a lot of all of that. And so I think beginning first by tapping into your own, as Sam said, your own wisdom, your own expertise, noticing what's going on in your body, looking for the information that your body is feeding you all the time about what it needs. So when you're hungry, obviously it's telling you that your fuel levels are low, and you know that because your stomach may be growling or panging or empty. By the time you're shaky and have a headache, you've ignored it too long, and that could be a trigger for overeating, certainly. And on the other hand, and also, of course, symptoms like having difficulty focusing and not being as productive, distracted, things like that can be also signs of hunger as well. On the other hand, if you feel like eating and there are no physical signs of hunger, that's a good time to check in. Did I just see a commercial on TV or food in my Instagram feed? Is it possible that I'm procrastinating or looking for something to do to avoid what else I need to do? And so I think that's a great place to start. Once you know you're hungry, then you can make that decision about what you're going to eat that will be in balance. And for the record, I'm an all foods fit person. Sam kind of alluded to this. My husband's a professional chef, so lucky for me, fruits and vegetables are easy to incorporate in my diet because they taste fantastic. But I have no problem with a cupcake or a piece of chocolate when I want it. So that's my 2 cents.
All right. A lot more than 2 cents as well. Thank you, Michelle. Great answers from all three of our panelists. And so now I want to ask who wants to answer this question from Julia. What is the best way to remove chemical pesticides from our fruits and vegetables? Which one of you three would like to answer that?
Figure maybe Michelle, you have the chef husband. My thought is just to really, I always make sure I go to a farm on the weekend every Sunday with my kids. And there's one it's like literally 15 minutes from here. And because I'm not buying it from the grocery store, you really do have to wash it so thoroughly. But I don't use anything on it. I literally will just make sure it's super clean in the sink, give it a good scrub, and make sure it's an organic farm where I go. But even still, in the soils, you just don't know. So I kind of feel like even if you're buying stuff from the grocery store, or whether you're getting it natural from a farm, I think running it under some water for quite a long time to make sure everything's rinsed off. But I'm not sure, maybe there's other tricks in the book for actually removing pesticides. I'm not 100% sure.
I know they sell those sprays and everything, but I don't know if they're any good or safe or anything like that. Joni or Michelle, do you have anything to add, anything to comment about that?
Go ahead, Joni. I'm all about, rinsing, washing your fruits and vegetables, and anything, peeling it if that's appropriate, of course.
Yeah, and while it's been a while since there was a time, especially when my children were very young, that was a real concern for me, into looking at, the effect of so many pesticides and all of the things that you hear about as a mom, you're panicking when you go to feed your children. But I will say that the technology that farmers use today to control the pests has really come a long way. So I really feel that this won't be such a concern to our health in the future. Not to say that it isn't now, and I think that it's a viable concern now, but thankfully, these are sustainable issues from an ecological perspective that are being challenged and are being met by much of the farming community when it comes to, mass production of fruits and vegetables. With that being said, right now, I would agree with Samantha and Michelle that just rinsing as much control as you can based on, where you're buying your produce is important, but just the rinsing as much as possible is the best way to go about it at this point in time.
Awesome. We've got a couple more, add-on questions about that. Tara asked, is white vinegar okay? I think she means for washing vegetables, right, Tara?
Yes, I've seen that you can soak it in the sink with white vinegar and water.
Thumbs up, my Pam?
If that's true.
I don't see any reason why that would be harmful. I know that there's a unique produce organization that I follow on Twitter. I can't think of the name right off the top of my head, but they're often putting out tweets about how to keep your fruits and vegetables clean. And basically they just recommend rinsing, just a very thorough rinsing, not even using soap, and those types of things or anything like that to clean, non-porous fruits and vegetables, that you could do that. So I would think that for now, based on the evidence that we have, that water and just rinsing, a thorough rinsing is appropriate. Samantha and Michelle, I'm not sure if you have anything to add to that.
Sounds good.
Okay, here's one, and this is going to be interesting. And I'll put my own comment in there first, but I'm not a doctor or an Olympian or a PhD. So Kathy asked about commenting on using Truvia versus real sugar. I have heard from another guru, holistic nutritionist of mine, that Truvia is more of a fake. Is if you're going to choose one of them, choose the real stevia. And as a matter of fact, the stevia drops. But again, I'm going to let you guys answer that, but can you comment on using Truvia versus real sugar? Any three of you?
I can jump in to start with. I'm a real sugar girl. I feel like, fructose that we get from fruits is wonderful because our body knows how to process it. I'm not against using sweeteners. I just prefer for myself. I think it comes down to a personal preference. I just kind of feel like, for me personally, choosing just to have a little less of actual, whether it's sugar or honey or something like that. Because, however you want to look at it, I believe that, a lot of the sweeteners, they are chemically processed. And so it just depends on your personal preference of diet. But in terms of, when people are on a weight loss program or weight loss diet, maybe they have more success when they're using these types of sweeteners. I don't like the aftertaste personally. So that's my personal take on it. But maybe the doctors have more of a scientific reason.
And may I add, if either of you also want to answer that question, what about monk sugar? Michelle?
Well, so this is kind of why I don't do the what should you eat discussion, because it is such a slippery slope. I really, the data changes regularly. It is confusing. And unfortunately, what we end up doing, this is just my take on this, is we can end up demonizing certain foods. Sugar is a great example of how it's become the demon food that we should all try to avoid. But as Sam said, sugar in moderation adds pleasure to your life, and it doesn't cause you any harm. And for that matter, if you're going to consume artificial sweeteners, moderation is the key. It's very unlikely to be harmful in the usual doses that humans could consume, in moderation. Now, if you're having 6 Diet Cokes a day, then I would ask, what's going on here? Why are we taking that much in? Now, when I was doing a lot of dieting before I recovered from all that, I was using a lot of artificial sweeteners. And now I don't like the taste of it at all. It really surprises me that I was able to eat it all the time like I was, because I don't find it very pleasing. But that's partly because of being willing to just actually taste my food, enjoy my food, and not substitute everything away for fake foods and things that aren't even really food anymore. So I like the it's really up to your personal preference and, what you're comfortable with for you and your family. Okay.
Great. We're going to move on to the next question. There's a couple more that we'll kind of try to fit in. Some great comments going on from the chat. I love it. I figured that would be like that on this kind of a topic, but I'm going to start with Sam on this one. And there's already a question about zinc. So the question is, what supplements do you recommend for overall boosting of your immune system? And again, when our 3 panelists are recommending things, like they're all really being very cautious about is like whatever's good for you and your family, and doing your own research and all that. So we want to be cautious of that. We're not your personal doctor, and we don't know your whole story. So that's the liability waiver that I'm throwing out there right now. So what supplements do you recommend for overall boosting of your immune system? And somebody asked about zinc. Yes, Sam, since you mentioned zinc, how much and for how long would you recommend to take it? Being aware that zinc inhibits iron absorption. So I'm going to throw that comment in there as we start talking about supplements.
I love it. Perfect. And so I know supplementation is really received in many different ways. Some people hate it. Some people love it. Again, I really come from the athlete world where we really understand the benefits of supplementing our diets for superior performance. Most of the time, it's about timing of supplementation or timing of eating. It's the time that you're consuming things that really make a difference in performance, like pre, during, and post-exercise nutrition for performance. So that's kind of where my mindset comes from when it comes to supplementing the body. So I think about, when we think about the immune system, I think about, what causes our immune system to not function well in the first place? A lot of the time it can be from having nutritional deficiencies. It can be from the fact that we're stressed. It can be from the fact that we're ill. So there's so many things that impact the immune system, and it's such a complex system. And so I'm a huge fan of supplementation, but I do feel that people should really focus on getting the nutrition that they need from their diet first. So I'm always a diet first philosophy. That's my plan. I believe that we can get the majority of the nutrition that we need from our foods, and supplementation is really used as a way to enhance our diet. And so again, I already shared on zinc, and so I'll touch on, I believe, and I haven't had a chance to quickly check in a book, but I think that our daily recommended amount, or the current RDA for zinc, I think is 8 milligrams for women per day. I could be off, somebody can correct me, but I believe we're supposed to consume about 8 milligrams a day. And so when you think about vitamin C and zinc, our body doesn't store them. So we have to consume them in our foods each and every day. So if you know that you're consuming a lot of citrus fruits, if you're maybe for zinc, if you're consuming oysters and your red meats, if you are making sure that you're getting your dark leafy green vegetables, then maybe you don't need to supplement with zinc specifically because you're getting that 8 milligrams from your diet. But the typical American diet where people's plate isn't colorful, fact is a lot of people will be deficient in these individual micronutrients. And so that's why I think it comes down to that personalized thing. So the main thing that I recommend to people is if you know that maybe your plate's not as colorful as it should be, maybe your diet's not very diverse, maybe you're eating a lot of processed foods that are lacking in good, healthy vitamins, minerals, antioxidants that you need for your cells to repair and regenerate, taking a good multivitamin is your first step because that keeps everything in balance. The one question about zinc, about it messing with the iron absorption, well, we know that vitamin C helps with iron absorption. So if you're consuming enough vitamin C, everything works in this beautiful balance. And so I think before people start supplementing with individualized specific single nutrients, opting for more of a multivitamin is key. And then I'll turn it over to the doctors, but I think you can't have this conversation without talking about vitamin D. Anybody who's been watching the news or reading, we know the benefits of vitamin D, not only for bone health, joint health, and all of that good stuff, but it plays a huge role in immunity. So I would just say C, D, and zinc are key. Your body doesn't store them and you need to consume them each and every day.
And would you say D3?
Yes.
Okay, great. All right, next on is Michelle.
Right. So I'm going to be very reluctant to give individual advice. I think really I agree completely that the first source should always be food. It's not easy. We've got busy lives, lots of different options for eating. And so multivitamin for many people. Personally, I'm also taking an omega-3 as well as a probiotic and vitamin D, and about to add some E and C as well, just after having a conversation with my own medical professional. So that's what I would recommend as well, that you have a conversation with your doctor or your dietitian and look at what you're already eating and what your needs are, your age and your activity and all kinds of other issues and your risk factors. And that will help you come up with a customized profile that's perfect for you.
I like that answer, Michelle. And I think one thing about talking to your doctor, not everyone has the right doctor. Who doesn't always recommend the right things. And got a couple stories about that, but I won't get into that. But thank you, Michelle. That's good recommendations.
Yeah,
Find yourself a good doctor, right?
Yes, I will admit that physicians don't always know as much about nutrition as they really should. They get asked a lot about nutrition because it seems they'll know. So if in doubt, find yourself a good registered dietitian, somebody who's done the training specifically in that area.
Great. Thank you, Michelle. Joni?
I would concur with everything that's been mentioned. It's so important to realize that I'm not a registered dietitian, and I don't think Samantha and Michelle have that specific title either. But I know a ton of them, and they're fabulous, but they can tell you a lot more great information. I will say, take everything that's mentioned that you read regarding supplements and vitamins. You really need to have these conversations with your physician. For example, there are certain drugs that zinc will interact with and make certain antibiotics not not able to do their job. The vitamin B, they're, from thiamine to riboflavin to folate, they're all different types of vitamins. And every person, based on your genetic history, your current health habits, your current diet, needs, maybe a little bit different amounts of those things. So I think I love having these conversations. They're phenomenal. And especially when you look at the research and you look to see, you know, what the research on magnesium, how we're seeing the powerful effects that magnesium can have on so many different aspects of your health, as well as vitamin D and vitamin E. And fun fact, vitamin D is not actually a vitamin at all. Those kinds of things are just phenomenal to have conversations about. But I do agree that if you really need to have these conversations with a physician that's invested in health from both a medical standpoint and a holistic standpoint, because, you know, there are some that do that as well, or a registered dietitian, or even, as Samantha mentioned, a certified sports specialist that's a dietetic that really works with athletes, because in my experience, those are the individuals that are so well-rounded with the newest and latest evidence on potential supplements or including more of something in your diet. Because like Samantha said, I agree with the diet first approach wholeheartedly. But especially as it relates to athletes, right? Because they're on the cutting edge. So they tend to have that one step ahead, real ability to apply a lot of the newest research to situations. So if you have the ability to have a consultation with a registered dietitian or a CSSD, as we call them, I would wholeheartedly recommend that.
Great, Joni. Thank you. There's some good stuff, Joni. Good stuff. There's some questions coming in. So B6 or B12? B6. What is B6 versus B12? Julie asked. Joni, you got the spotlight, so you're going to have to start. You could also answer what's the best canned tuna to eat question here. So, no, really.
When you can get open. No, I don't. I mean, no. So the different vitamins, B vitamins, are thiamine, riboflavin, niacin, pantothenic acid, pyroxidine. They're just different types of the B vitamins. They just have a little bit different chemical structure and different makeup for what they do. For example, folate is a B9. So they are very important when it comes to your animal sources. Primarily, we get our vitamin B from our animal-based products. So that is an area that vegetarians and those that are vegan need to be aware of, that they could be deficient in some of those areas over time. It's not that one would necessarily be preferred over the other. I think it's a very individual basis based on what, where you are, as was mentioned earlier, where you are in your lifespan, where your physical needs are. Are you extremely athletic? Do you lift heavy weights? All of those things can greatly impact how much of these nutrients that you need. So again, I think we would be amiss to really nitpick each and every one of those, rather than to understand the overall importance is of function, some sort of function within the body. That's what these vitamins and minerals do. They're really critical for, muscle function, muscle recovery, or DNA development, or cell growth, or cell regeneration. Every vitamin, every type of vitamin or element has a different role and function that it performs within the body. So it's really important that we just have what we need of each one of those. So I think that, rather than looking at the microscopic of each one, just seeing again, is that diet well-rounded enough? And if you choose a diet that does limit certain things like animal products, or even a diet that is non-dairy, then recognizing what nutrient you might be deficient in because of that limitation is really important. So I think that's my best advice there.
All right, great. Let me check the chat here before we go on to our next. Okay. Any three of you have a comment on the best canned tuna fish? They don't have a comment on it, Julie. Sorry.
Yeah.
You know, I was just going to say that tuna thing, it wasn't that a huge Subway scandal? I mean, that the tuna is not really real.
Oh, I don't know.
I'm not sure how that plays into canned tuna, but I don't know. I just thought it was an interesting question.
Yeah, right. Okay. I do want to just real quick, it turns out Celeste, one of our, she's actually in our goal attainment program, and she happens to be a water expert. And going back to when we talked, and I just wanted to bring you up, Celeste, because my cousin Kathy just mentioned that you are a water expert and you're a master gardener and all that. And when we were talking about washing the vegetables and all that, she says water is effective in itself. Produce from other countries have less regulations, so more important to rinse. So I just wanted to kind of bring that up, that someone who, understands more about water and rinsing and all that. So thank you for that comment. And there's also a lot of, besides questions, there's also a lot of good comments. Even tap water. It's funny because everybody's afraid of tap water, including me. And my husband and Tara's dad he's works in water treatments and all that. And he thinks tap water is fine. So I can't answer to that, but Celeste, and maybe, I assume it depends on where you live. I don't know about Michigan, but Celeste, what do you feel about rinsing with just plain tap water?
Do it. Absolutely. I only drink tap water. I don't trust bottled water. Bottled water is not inspected like tap water. Your hotel tap water is incredibly inspected on a moment by moment basis, and it's regulated. Where we see failures like Flint, and there's other places, Flint's not the only one. The failure is well known and documented, but disregarded by the policymakers. And it's more of an environmental justice issue than it is science. So we know everything there is to know about water, and we can treat all water to be incredibly healthy. Bottled water is sold as food, like a banana. It is not tested like your tap water is, but tap water in the United States is incredibly well managed and monitored. And everything that happened in Flint and the other places where we're worried about, it is completely well known and disregarded on purpose. So yeah, don't live there.
Well, thank you. Yeah, you and my husband Perry would have to agree on that 100%, and would you'll have to come on over and you guys can talk water all day long. So cool. Thanks, Celeste, for hopping in. Okay, we're going to move on to our next topic, and we're going to start with Michelle, and we're going to talk about stress relief. So take it away.
Yeah, thanks. I love this question because it really helps us get sort of to the granular level about what's really going on. We use stress as a big overarching word, but it is not one thing. Stress comes from all kinds of different things. For some, it may be coming from financial pressures. It may be coming from relational pressures. Sometimes it's a lack of emotional coping skills or balance or other things that are going on. So in order to really help ourselves with stress, we have to become clear about what's actually causing it for us as individuals, and recognize that when lifes, as life will, we're going to experience stress. And sometimes that can be very helpful for signaling that we need to make a change or we need to do something for ourselves. And so when that stress comes, rather than folding up into a ball or reaching into a bag of chips or even exercising excessively, constantly trying to dispel the stress, we need to take that opportunity to say, okay, is it what I'm thinking about this situation? Perhaps the way I'm interpreting this or the focus that I'm having on this, maybe I'm giving up my own opportunity to choose how I'm going to show up in this situation. And then the other small thing that I would say that's a really big thing is one of the reasons that stress gets to us is because we lack a self-care buffer zone. So I think a big piece of this for a lot of the people I work with who turn to food is that we're not using other skills to build a buffer zone around ourselves so that when inevitable stressors show up, we're much more likely to feel overwhelmed or suffer from some consequences of that. So I like prevention, certainly exercise and balanced eating, healthy relationships, downtime, sleep. Oh my gosh, so important. And of course, when we're stressed, that's the first thing that goes. Oh, too much to do, can't sleep, gotta get up early, et cetera, et cetera. So that's another big topic, but I think it's a huge one, especially right now.
Absolutely. Yes. Good advice there, Michelle. I agree 100%. Joni?
I want to just commend Michelle's answer. I mean, it's spot on. And if 2020 taught me anything, it was an understanding of emotional regulation. It was an understanding that my emotions can be all over the place at any given second of the day. And it was the ability to step back from the situation and press pause. So my husband's a football coach, and that's one of the things that they teach that he teaches his team is press pause. When anxiety of the game and everything is bearing down, it's 4th and 2, we've got to get this play, press pause, stop and think. And to be honest, there were so many times in 2020 that was my first thought. That was my go-to. Press pause, just stop and think, take a deep breath, step away, regulate my emotions first before I allow my emotions to regulate me, if that makes sense, because I would fail at that a few times and then feel just this tremendous weight of stress for a long period of time or for the just for that moment. And so I think that for me, it's emotional regulation and then understanding how the stress affects me personally, because it's very different from how it affects my husband or definitely my children, right? My 5, my 7, my 9-year-old, my 13-year-old, all express that stress very differently, and they're all appropriate in their raw response of stress. I think that's where we kind of miss it sometimes, is that we shouldn't express it, we shouldn't feel it, and that's not the point. The point is, okay, how are we regulating that, and then how can we cope and manage that in a way that's not self-destructive, right? And so I think that's, for me, was just a real eye-opener, that even as a health professional, even as someone who's taught stress management for years, right? Just the ability to come back and connect the pieces to my emotions and to that regulation. And for Michelle, like she said, sleep goes away. For me, it's the opposite. I want to sleep all the time. That's just a constant. It's just like, I feel like if I'm asleep, then I'm not, then the stress is much less. So I think that it doesn't have to always fit those necessary symptoms of stress. Your stress might present differently. So for me, it's that emotional regulation, trying to prevent, as Michelle mentioned, and then redirecting into a sustainable method of stress relief, whether that's physical activity, exercise, talking, whatever it is that's sustainable. That's so important that it be sustainable.
I love what you had to say about the difference of how we all react or act to stress. It's so true. Thank you, Joni. And we will have to talk sometime, because my son is a football coach in North Carolina. So, and we, at Brevard, a small school, we are a football family. So thank you, Joni, for your answers. And Sam, Sam.
Love it. Again, great answers from my co-pilots here, the three of us. So I just feel like Michelle framed it perfectly. Her very first sentence was, stress is a halo term. Stress involves so many different things. Not to always go back to the athletic side, but I just kind of think there's the good and the bad of stress, right? So stress can actually be good for our body. So think about the physical stress that we put on our body. It's physical stress that makes me better. I'm stressing out my body during exercise, tearing muscle fibers, pushing myself to the limit so that my body can repair, regenerate, and come back stronger. So that, in that sense, stress is good for the body. But even with that, it's about the balance. Because if I do too much exercise, I get overexertion injuries, my body can't recover quick enough, and now I'm actually declining in my performance, not getting better. And so I think, the physical stress that our body has every day is something that we personally get to manage the physical stress. Am I training too hard? Am I not training enough to get the adaptations I want? So I think the physical stress is good for the body. Too much is not good for the body. And then emotional stress, I think I learned a lot about emotional stress when I had my triplets, learning to manage it. And so, that was at a time in my life where I really understood the importance of, like Joni just shared, managing, understanding what is stressing me out. What are the things that are stressing me? And so I'm not going to become religious, but I want to read you the poem that my mother-in-law gave me to stick on my fridge. It's just the simple Serenity Prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. That is my daily go-to for stress, because I'm a worrier naturally, and I worry about things that I have zero control over. And so that would be my biggest kind of tip for everybody from a practical standpoint is so many things we stress about, we have zero control. We have to just give them up and then have the courage to deal with the things that we can control. So like I said, the physical stress, the way that we're providing for our body with nutrition, or providing, like the girl said, with sleep for our body. So kind of understanding, there's a lot of things we just can't control, and we're going to get stressed, we're going to feel stressed, and managing to control it. And so as a mom of 4 teenagers, I wake up every morning and kind of have to talk myself off the ledge. I've got 1 driving, 3 about to learn to drive, 1 headed to college. And so I've really gotten good at thinking, what makes my life easier? And time management and setting expectations stops me from stressing. If I know that I'm prepared, then I'm going to be more successful in the day. And so I just encourage everyone to kind of don't let stress rule you. You rule stress. Give up the things you can't control that are stressing you out, because you can't do nothing about it. And the things that you can, it's those little things. It's the being prepared with your grocery choices so that you're not stress eating the wrong foods, or it's being organized so that you're not running late. It's doing things ahead of time so you're not freaking out. I just kind of feel like we can manage a lot of that ourselves by being mindful. So that would be my mom answer.
Very, 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 very good answers. That's such great advice, Sam. It's so true. And the poem, of course, that most of us heard is just, if we could really read that and believe that daily, we'd be perfect moms and humans, right? So yeah, that's great. I love it. Yeah, the Serenity Prayer.
Stick it on the fridge.
Stick it on my forehead. Liza has put a couple things in the chat, a couple downloads. She said she just finished a book with many different stress management tools. So you guys take a look at the chat, and everyone's making some good comments and sharing. Liza posted something else about environmental working group. So thank you, Liza, and thank you, everybody. We've got one more question, really comment, just kind of a touchy-feely end to it as we're rounding off, getting close to an hour here. And I want to talk about you guys' daily routines and what helps get you through the day. I'm going to start, and then we'll go on to you guys. I think we all agree that if we have a good daily habits, strong good habits and routines, especially healthy ones, it kind of helps us through our stress and through our day. And mine is my coffee. Not that that's a good habit, but I gotta have it. Coffee. Meditate. I've been meditating daily. I'm on to almost 2 solid months now. So yay me. Coffee, meditate, journal. And then I do my social media. And what I mean by that is, that's, just to help me build my business. I've got to get it out of the way first thing in the morning, and trying not to go down the rabbit hole, which is often challenging, and then working out. If I don't get my workout done in the morning, then it does not get done. And of course, that's a big stress reliever. So Sam, since you've got the spotlight, why don't you tell us your daily routine? That's probably a little different than mine, getting four teenagers out the door. I don't even have to get myself out the door. I can stay home and work.
My life changed this year because I now have a driver. So my oldest, he's 17, and he can drive and help me out a little, which is great. So life has changed a tiny bit, but I'm an early to bed, early to rise girl. I just feel like I love getting up in the morning before everybody else is awake, before the sun comes up, because I feel like I can accomplish so much in the mornings. And so my routine's nuts. I'll admit to being a little bit crazy. I think it's from my athletic days of just being super organized, super kind of structured. And I put a lot on my plate. So you guys know I work full time. I've got the 4 kids. I went back to school. I'm doing a master's in nutrition right now, and I only just completed my bachelor's in October. And so I got into this really great habit. I wake up, the first thing I do is I get my tea and a cup of water, and then I study for 2 hours in the morning. So I get up at 5. So from 5 to 7, study time. I have a list. I do bullet points and list, and I do 2 hours before 7. Then I turn into mom mode, getting everybody ready for their day, breakfast, shouting at folks to get up. Even if we're doing Zoom school, I'm quite funny about making sure that they still get up, they shower, they get dressed, because they're on synchronous learning on Zoom. Now they're back in school this week, which is nice. But getting everybody ready. And then, as soon as I get them off, I have to start my work day. And so my workout schedule has become the afternoon. So instead of my typical lunch break, I kind of lunch while I'm on Zoom secretly, turn off the camera so that I can use my lunch break to do my workout. And then the rest of the day is just pretty nuts, kids running around and all that good stuff. But in terms of like being prepared for my week, I'm a big food prepper. Sundays, getting everything washed and ready so my kids don't have to go through the worry of washing the veggies and fruits that are in the fridge. They know everything that's in the fridge is clean and ready to eat. And that is my lifesaver, knowing that, my kids now, that they can just come to me and there's food ready for them to eat. It's changed my life. It's so important to me.
Yeah.
So yeah, just super busy, but I just feel like for me, setting my goals at the beginning of the day, sticking to it, knowing what I need to accomplish, that helps me reduce my stress by writing lists and checking them off. I'm a list checker. And so that's my tip for everyone. I feel like I get up in the morning, I know exactly what my day looks like from when I wake up to when I go to bed. Not everybody wants to be that regimented, but for someone like me who's a straight driver, it works for me, and it's allowed me to, have success, but still scheduling time for fun.
Excellent. I love it. I'm a big planner too. And do you like highlighting it off when you get it done to make you feel really good about yourself?
I can't wait to check stuff off the list. It's my favorite thing to do.
Yep. I love it. All right, Michelle, you're on.
Well, obviously, I'm in a different stage in life at 58 with grown children and a business that I've been doing from my home for many years. My life is very different from having young children, a really busy medical practice, and starting my company all at the same time. So I'm very grateful. I listened to you, Sam, and I'm like, oh. However, I completely agree. I love to make lists. I'm one of those who will sometimes write something on the list that's done and then cross off immediately because it never made it to the list before I did it. I like to have things there, but what I really value now is flexibility. So I have many things that I love to do that because I work for myself, I can fit them in. So it may be pickleball on Tuesday evenings and Thursday mornings, a Zoom yoga class, not my favorite. I prefer a live in-person experience. I live near South Mountain in Phoenix, so hiking whenever I can get out there. but starting my day with a cup of coffee, black coffee, is just such a treat. Sitting on the patio if I can. Trying to meditate, Janice, you inspire me. I start and stop and start and stop and start and stop, but I really love it and just need to make it more of a priority. And like I said, luckily my husband's a professional chef who loves to cook and shop. So that makes that piece of my life much, much easier.
Yes. Well, I've been meditating on and off, trying for 5 years as well. And what really got me was the Calm app. And it was 30 days, learn to meditate. It was only 10 minutes every day. And nice. So that really helped me. I'm still a work in progress. Don't get me wrong. Like they say, I meditate every day and I take yoga, but I still want to slap somebody. I'm just kidding. I don't really feel that way, but it's kind of true. Thank you, Michelle. Joni?
I'm very similar to my colleagues. Obviously, I think we share a lot of commonality in that I've often been told I have way too much on my plate, but I think that is my way of staying balanced and staying well-rounded with all the things that I really enjoy and love to do. I do make lists. I like check marks beside them rather than crossing them out. So I guess that's how we're a little different. I like to do that in the evening time. So I'm actually already planning the class that I will teach tomorrow morning. And I like to sit down at night and do my full preparation for the next day. So I have my coffee ready to go. I know what we're eating for dinner and for lunch. All my children are virtual right now, and I'm teaching fully virtual. So I'm the lunch lady. I am the bus driver. I am the principal. I am also teaching full-time myself. So I have my own set of students and lots of research that we are doing in different projects. So it can be overwhelming if you step back and you look at just the different things that are happening. But a lot like my colleagues, I like to get up early unless I don't want to. And I'm okay with that. You know what, if I want to sleep in and it's 5:30 and I'm not ready to wake up yet, I sleep in, and I don't make myself feel guilty about that, because I know I will work hard where I need to work hard to take advantage of whatever hour of extra sleep that I might have gotten that day. And that helps me to, when I need to get up early, still get up early. And when I don't really want to, I don't have to. And that's really a new thing for me, is just kind of allowing myself to, have some of that flexibility that Michelle talked about. I try to, my day is pretty regimented from wake up time in the morning as mom to get the kids ready, get myself through school and teach while my other children and husband my husband's also a teacher as well as a coach, and work that. But then from 12:30 until about 3, I don't make plans. I allow myself time to play with my kids, to watch TV with my kids, to go on a walk with my kids, it's pretty much our time. If they don't want time with mom, then it's my time. So I allow myself that opportunity. And then I kind of get back at it around 3:30 or 4 with a workout, and then preparing for dinner, and then prepping for the next day. So from a template standpoint, that pretty much follows pretty much day to day, what I need to do. So that does help. I am a scheduled person, so I like to stick to that schedule. But as I've mentioned, I've given myself a lot of grace. And you know what? If one day just doesn't fit to the schedule, I'm not going to beat myself up over that. And then my husband and I are pretty active in our church. So we enjoy, whatever we can do with our groups and different ways that we can fellowship with other people, because we are pretty much confined to our home since the last, 8 to 9 months. So that's how we manage day to day.
Great, Joni. Thank you. Thank you, all three of you. Thank you, all three of you, for your honest, candid, real, genuine answers and opinions and feedback. I think this has been awesome. We got such great comments in the chat, And that always says that, everyone is having a good time and enjoying it. So I appreciate you three. I appreciate everyone who spent the time to hop on today. Thank you so much. You all you in the audience, I know that all four of us appreciate you, and thank you for that. Thank you for tuning in. And thank you so much, the three of you, for, like I said, your expertise and everything. And thanks for all your comments here. There's a couple more sales things I'm going to say here. And by the way, Sam, Michelle, and Joni, I always do a follow-up email. So if you want to put a couple things in my email, like things you want to tell them, if you've got something coming up or something you forgot to say that you wanted to say, Joni just put her email in the chat. That's great. So, they all three of them have so much to offer, and you can tell. So you guys, if you want to put any information in the chat, or if you want to let me know, and I'll put it in the email. And then our next Fit Pro Connection will be in 2 weeks. We're going to do our Fit Pro Connections every other week now. So since we started this in COVID, I think a couple of people have actually gotten jobs. And so we have a little more on our plates. And some of us haven't, whatever. So every other week. And the next, I don't have the February 19th completely lined up. We're going to be talking about building a sense of community and togetherness. So that's going to be our topic. So stay tuned for that. For those of you who are fitness professionals or interested in that, we've got an amazing deal going on right now we've never offered before. And of course, all three of these ladies will be doing some talks at FitnessFest. So you do not want to miss them. It's $199 for our virtual event, which is April 22nd through the 23rd through the 25th, $199. However, right now until Valentine's Day, we are offering our September 10th through 12th live event. We are going live come heck or high water at the Sheraton in Mesa. And that $199 will get you that live event for free. Only one more week. So this is just crazy. But we know a lot of people are struggling with their funds, and we just want to get things started as we get this 2021 off the ground. And then Joanna just posted the details on that. Thank you, Joanna. But it's fitnessfest.org will tell you everything as well. And thirdly, I wanted to say that my colleague and friend Journey Reeves and I just started this goal attainment program, and there's several people on this call that are in the goal attainment program, and it's just been really fun so far. We just finished our first day, but you can still, through Sunday, you can still sign up for it, and Joanna is going to put that in the chat. It's journeyreeves.com, but she spells her name Jerny Rieves. So every week we talk about, we have a goal attainment sheet. What's your goal? What's your vision? What are your action steps? So we're working together. We've got accountability partners. We're talking about mindset, whether your goal is health and fitness, or whether it's relationships, business, finance, we've got it all. So we've got a really great plan for you. So bye, Celeste. Thank you. So thanks, Leslie, for saying Fitness Fest is the best. So we've got lots of stuff for you. We'll follow up with an email, and with this has been great. If anybody has any questions and they want to put it in the chat real quick. And I will, when I send the follow-up, I'll tell everybody which topics you three are going to be talking about at Fitness Fest too. So that will help too. All right. If nobody has any other questions or anything they want to ask our lovelies, then we are going to say goodbye, say good night. Have a great, great weekend. Stay healthy, stay safe, have fun, self-care, give yourself permission to have a good time.
Thank you for allowing me to join, and I'd love to come back anytime.
Thank you, Joni.
Yeah, one of my self-care activities is sometimes a glass of red wine. I think that's on the agenda for tonight. So thank you very much.
I'm in. That's great.
That's
Ladies, you were terrific. Janice, great. It was a great panel. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Leslie, as always. Thank you.
Great to meet all of you.
I'll have my treat of red wine too. I love that we have the same philosophy. A little bit of everything in moderation.
I'm in.
I'd love to connect with you at ASU too, Sam. Good luck.
I hope I get to be in your class. This is great.
I would love that. It's going to open on February 18th. It fills up really fast, so I'd love for you to hop in there. Mindful eating.
Perfect. I love it.
Thanks. Bye. Thank you, Janice.
Thank you, Michelle.
Bye-bye, Joni.
Thank you, Sam. Thank you, Joni. Thank you, everyone else.